Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Against the Sky Supreme based on novel. So let's start. Whether I can escape is not up to you, you can catch up with me if you have the ability. Tan Yunyu let out a scornful sneer, and in Zhong Zuyun's desperate eyes, he sacrificed a divine boat. Zhong Zuyun could see at a glance that the Shinju was the fifth-order superb artifact used by the second brother on weekdays. Tan Yun swept onto the Shinju and laughed wildly. Ha ha ha, yours is a fifth-order high-grade Shinju, I see how you can catch up with Grandpa. Afterwards, Tan Yun drove the Shinju and shuttled aimlessly through the vast abyss of fierce gods, 3 points faster than Zhong Zuyun's Shinju. Just 7 days later, Tan Yun got rid of Zhong Zuyun. Even if Zhong Zuyun released his divine sense to the extreme, he could not find any trace of Tan Yun. Mother! Zhong Zuyun yelled angrily. Eldest young master, what should we do now? An 8th level earth god old man asked respectfully. What should I do? Of course I will continue to chase. Zhong Zuyun's face was gloomy. I just blamed this young master for being mean. I thought I could kill that kid. So I said that this young master went to the fierce abyss of the gods to kill the second brother. In case this kid, in order to take revenge on me, tells my father the memory image of my speech, then I will never want to become the young master. It's just that the fierce abyss of the gods is so vast, if we want to find this person, it will not be easy. Hearing this, more than 300 henchmen on the Shinju behind him nodded in agreement. At this time, the old man named Fang Dong, whose eyes flashed brightly, bowed and said, Eldest young master, this old slave has a solution. Come on. Zhong Zuyun urged. Fang Dong hurriedly said, Eldest young master, we can divide our troops into 2 groups and guard the exit of the fierce abyss of the gods all the way. No matter who wants to leave, we will search for their souls. Of course, the purpose of this is to prevent that boy, hide your true cultivation and escape. The other way is to try your luck in the fierce abyss of the gods. On the way to search, give priority to searching the souls of the 4th-class gods. In this way, there is the greatest possibility to catch that kid. We have time to spend with that kid. Once we catch that kid and kill him, we will not only get the technique for his leapfrog challenge, but also take the head and return to your father. Your father must have been furious when he learned that the second young master was killed, but at this time the murderer was caught by you, the first young master. The old slave thinks that the master of the family will make you the young master. In addition, you should send someone to go back and inform the patriarch of the death of the second young master, as soon as possible, so that the patriarch can send a large army to the fierce abyss of gods. Hearing this, Zhong Zuyun's eyes lit up, and he praised without hesitation, Not bad, this is a 2-killer plan. No, it should be a good thing to kill 3 birds with 1 stone. That kid killed the second child for me. Then, after I killed him, I could not only win the favor of my father, but also sit on the position of the young master, ha 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 ha. After the long laugh, Zhong Zuyun looked at Fang Dong and ordered, Although you are an 8th level earth god, your strength is stronger than that of the second child. So let's take 29 8th level earth gods with you. Search in the divine fierce abyss. My young master will lead people to guard the exit of the fierce abyss of the gods. Afterwards, Fang Dong and other 38-level earth gods released their spiritual consciousness to the extreme, and launched a carpet-like search in the fierce abyss of gods not far from each other. And Zhong Zuyun led more than 290 people to drive the Shinju and fly towards the exit of the fierce abyss of gods. At the same time, Tan Yun, who escaped, rode a Shinju and appeared over a giant waterfall in a valley. Whoosh! Tan Yun rode the Shinju, drew an arc from the void, and drilled into the water curtain cave in the waterfall. After Tan Yun set up the soundproof barrier, Shen Subing and others came out of thin air from Tan Yun's side. Tan Yun said with lingering fear, "You don't have to worry, we have successfully escaped." Shen Subing said, "Husband, let's not look for cultivation resources for the time being. The cultivation resources in our hands are enough for us to advance to 2 small realms. After we are promoted, we will go out to look for it, or leave this place and go to other gods to find cultivation resources. I'm worried, now that the other party has blocked the exit of the gods and fierce abyss. They have sent people to the Supreme God King City to inform Zhon Peng." The Zhon Peng in Shen Subing's mouth is the owner of the Zhon family. Now he has stepped into the realm of the King of Gods. Hearing this, Tan Yun nodded in agreement. "Su Bing, you are right. We should use the existing cultivation resources to quickly improve the realm, and then leave the fierce abyss of the gods to avoid the limelight, and go to other places to find cultivation resources." At this moment, everyone in Tan Yun knew that they could not return to the secret place in the depths of the fierce abyss of the gods, because there were no cultivation resources in the secret place. Although oneself and others can enter the secret land and avoid danger, it is difficult for oneself and others to improve their strength without cultivation resources. Moreover, in case, after Zhon Peng learned of his son's death, he personally descended to all gods' fierce abyss. Tan Yun understands even more that even though the enemy does not know his own appearance, if he encounters him and uses the soul-searching technique, his murder of Zhon Zuqian will definitely be revealed. Thinking about it, Tan Yun looked at the crowd and said, "I don't need the top-quality human divine pill in our hands now, I'll give it to you." Taking 1 human divine fruit is equivalent to the effect of 100 top-quality human divine pills. After we divide it up, we will immediately retreat and practice. With the help of God fruit, our cultivation speed can be increased by more than 100 times. This place is quite far from the Supreme God King City. We must improve our realm and leave the fierce abyss of gods before the army arrives. After he finished speaking, Tan Yun sacrificed the Lingxiao pagoda, and distributed the human divine fruit and human divine pill to the crowd, and then entered the divine tower with everyone to retreat and practice. In the 48-story tower, Tan Yun sat cross-legged, and the human ***** fruit was suspended in front of Tan Yun. With the refining, surging divine essence gushed out from the human ***** fruit, like a torrent in the air. Influx into the Tan Yunling pond. Time flies and never returns. 2 years later, Zhon Zuyan led his subordinates to the exit of the fierce abyss of the gods, and then sent people to rush to the distant city of the supreme gods. Afterwards, Zhon Zuyan hummed a little tune and began to plan to wait for the rabbit. The 4 seasons alternate, and soon another 7 years have passed. 9 years have passed since Tan Yun retreated to the outside world. 9 years in the outside world, according to the 100 years of the outside world in Lingxiao Pagoda, Tan Yun and others have spent a long 328,500 years. In the tower time, Tan Yun's cultivation speed increased by more than 100 times under the premise of refining the human divine fruit. As early as 140,000 years ago, he condensed the 5th Hongmeng human divine embryo, and was promoted to 5 weight for God. In these 140,000 years of cultivation, Tan Yun has vaguely touched the barrier of the 6th-class gods. He is racing against time to practice. At the same time, in the fierce abyss of the gods, Fang Dong and other 38-level earth gods vomited blood in depression. Because in the past 9 years, 30 people have searched almost every corner of the fierce abyss of the gods, and they have also searched countless clan gods, who have entered the fierce abyss of gods to search for treasures. But they have not found Tan Yun. "Brother Fang, where did that kid go?" an old man asked in confusion. Fang Dong shook his head and said, "I don't know. Yesterday, I contacted the eldest young master through the sound transmission magic rune, and that boy has not left the fierce abyss of gods." At this time, Fang Dong seemed to think of something and said, "In the fierce abyss of the gods, we still have the water curtain divine cave, and we didn't look for it. Could it be that the kid is in the waterfall? Hearing the water curtain divine cave, the other 29 old men couldn't help but shudder, their hearts trembled and trembled. One of the old men said, "No way. It is said that the water curtain divine cave is a habitat where the beast Kuanping often goes. How could that kid dare to go there? I heard that as early as 1,000 years ago, this Kuanping was a 6th-class heavenly beast. And this Dopeng bird, with a ferocious nature and a flying speed, is comparable to the 7th-class semisacred. If you want me to say, it's better not to go. In case of being hit by Kuanping, we have only one dead end." Hearing this, Fang Dong said displeased, "What are you afraid of? That golden-winged Kuanping has come and gone without a trace, and I don't know how long it will take to go to the water curtain divine cave. Why don't we go to see it from a distance? Let's talk about our luck, as for how badly we happened to bump into it." Fang Dong's voice just fell, and suddenly, the old body trembled, and his eyes were excited. The old man perceives the barrier of the 9th-level Earth God. Great, great. The old man has to retreat immediately. After the old man has stepped into the 9th-level Earth God, we will go to the water curtain divine cave together. Later, Fang Dong sacrificed the mustard seed space-time temple and entered the practice. At the same time, the Supreme God King City, the exhibition house. The mansion covers thousands of miles and is extremely magnificent. Welcome Hall. In the hall, 2 old men in their 60s sat looking at each other, drinking and talking about something. One of the fat old men is the 2nd-class ****** king, John Peng. Behind him, there is a young man standing in the wind, John Zusheng. Another emaciated old man, who even looked a little weak, was the supreme ****** king of the famous town of Hongmeng God Realm, Bai Qi. Now he has entered the 8th-level God King. After Bai got up, there was a stunning young girl, who was her daughter Bai Xuanqi. Now Bai Xuanqi is the 8th-level Earth God, and John Zusheng has just entered the 9th-level Earth God. You must know that when the two were chasing and killing Tan Yun in the fierce abyss of the gods 1,000 years ago, Bai Xuanqi was only a 1st-class Earth God, and John Zusheng was only a 5th-class Earth God. In just 1,000 years, the realm of the two of them could improve so rapidly. Naturally their father gave them sufficient cultivation resources, plus the time and space. For the sake of cultivation within the magic weapon. Even so, it has to be said that the qualifications of the two are indeed extraordinary. At this time, John Peng smiled and said, "Thank you, Lord God, for your favor on the ancestors, and agreeing to let your daughter marry the ancestors is a subordinate." Bai Qi smiled and waved his hand. No need to be polite, virtuous brother. It is all thanks to you, virtuous brother, that he was conferred the title of Supreme Divine King by Lord Lingxia Tianzuan. In the past, John Peng was just a bodyguard of Tan Yun. When Tan Yun was seriously injured and fled from the extraterritorial universe back to the Hongmeng God Realm, it was John Peng who told Bai Qi where Tan Yun was hiding. Later, Bai Qi found Lingxia Tianzuan again. After Lingxia Tianzuan found out, he told her husband, Chaos Tianzuan. Chaos Tianzuan hurriedly told Chaos Supreme the news. So there was Chaos Supreme, and he joined forces with Siyuan Supreme to find Tan Yun and kill Tan Yun. He wanted to make Tan Yun completely reincarnated. Matter of death. In the past, after Tan Yun's fall, Bai Qi was named the Supreme God King, because of his merit in providing information. The word, supreme, tells everyone that Bai Qi's contribution is so great that no one can match it. At this time, Bai Qi smiled and said, "Chia and Zusheng's marriage is finalized today. Of course, virtuous brother, you can make Zusheng the young master." John Peng smiled and said, "That's nature, that's nature. And Lord God King, when do you think the marriage of the two children will take place? Bai Qi smiled and said, the date will be set in 800 years. At that time, it will be the birthday of Lingxia Tianzuan's son and daughter. Lord Lingxia Tianzuan said that after the birthday ceremony is over, he will personally marry my daughter and ancestors. Hearing this, John Peng said excitedly, that's great, Lord Tianzuan bestowed the marriage, this is the glory of my ancestors. At this time, John Zuxing and Bai Xuanqi were also excited. Bai Qi said, 800 years later, it will be the birthday ceremony of the children of Lord Tianzuan. At that time, we should send some treasures that we can handle. Ha 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 ha, that's a must. John Peng laughed. Okay, Virtue's brother, it's time for my brother to go back to the city lord's mansion to handle affairs. At this time, Bai got up and looked at Bai Xuanqi dotingly, daughter, you should play in the Zhon mansion for a few more days. Yeah. Daddy walk slowly. Bai Xuanqi smiled mischievously. Afterwards, after sending Bai Qi away, John Peng returned to the room alone, with a look of apology in his cloudy eyes, and muttered to himself, alas. Zhu Qian, as a father, I really want to make you the young master, but Lord God King wants to be the father and make your third brother the young master. Dad can only be sorry for you, it is Daddy who is sorry for you. Dong dong dong. At this time, with a hurried knock on the door, a respectful and anxious voice sounded from outside the door, Patriarch, something has happened. Come in and answer. John Peng's white eyebrows trembled. It's the head of the house. The door opened, and an elderly man stepped into the room. This person is the housekeeper of Zhanfu, Zhanda. Zhanda looked panicked and said, Patriarch, second young master. Second young master was killed in the fierce abyss of gods. What did you say? John Peng's old body shuddered suddenly, his eyes widened, and in an instant, his eyes were covered with bloodshots, and turbid tears came out of his eyes. Patriarch, the second young master was killed. Zhanda was also in tears. The news of John Zuqian's death was like a bolt from the blue for John Peng. His head was a little dazed. After a long time, John Peng cried like crazy, no. No. Zhu Qian, my son. To know Zhang Zuqian, but his most important son, how could he not be sad? He stared at Zhanda with his eyes wide open, and roared, tell me. What's going on? Who killed my son? Who did it? Looking at John Peng, who was full of grief and anger, Zhanda comforted him, Patriarch, you must mourn and change, and take care of your health. I don't know this old slave, but the eldest young master sent someone back to say. Without waiting for Zhanda to speak, John Peng roared, where are the people? Patriarch, calm down. Zhanda was frightened and said, the people are waiting outside. Hearing this, John Peng roared, get out of here. Immediately, an old man walked into the room tremblingly, knelt in front of John Peng, and kowtowed, little, I have seen the owner. Speak. John Peng shouted while weeping, what the asterisk is going on? The old man looked at John Peng's twisted facial features, trembling with fright, and said truthfully, report to the master, the young follow the eldest young master, and go to the fierce abyss of gods to search for treasures. When he encounters the second young master, he leads people and wants to surround and kill a fourth-class person. God of man. When the eldest young master rushed to support, the second young master, and the more than 100 people he brought with him were all killed. The murderer put on a black robe to block prying eyes, and escaped with the second young master's fifth-order superb Shenju. Hearing this, John Peng said sharply, you lied. Zhu Qian is an 8th-level earth god. How could he be killed by a 4th-level human god? Patriarch, what Xiao Xiao said is true, maybe the murderer is hiding his strength. The old man said with a trembling body. John Peng scolded, where's Zhu Yun? He's the ninth level asterisk 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 of the earth. Could it be that he just watched the murderer run away? Report to the patriarch. The old man could not afford to kowtow, and said truthfully, the eldest young master is chasing him, but the eldest young master's Shinju can't catch up. Later, the eldest young master sent someone to carry out a carpet search of the fierce abyss of the gods, and the eldest young master personally led people to guard the exit of the fierce abyss of the gods, and asked the villain to come back and report the matter to you, patriarch. After listening, John Peng reluctantly said, Zuyun did nothing wrong in this matter, you should step back. The villain retire. The old man hurriedly got up and left the room. Inside the room, John Peng roared hoarsely, "Ah! I must catch the murderer and tear him out. Let the murderer die." John Peng's voice was loud, resounding throughout the mansion. In the mansion, John Zuxing, who was accompanying Bai Xuanqi to relax, hurriedly pulled Bai Xuanqi and flew away. Breathing, the two appeared in the room. "Father, what's wrong with you?" John Zuxing looked anxious. "Ancestor, your second brother was killed in the fierce abyss of the gods." Old John Peng burst into tears. Second brother. Hearing this, John Zuxing trembled, tears dripping down, and he said with sadness, "Father, who is the murderer?" "I don't know, your elder brother is still catching the murderer in the fierce abyss of the gods." John Peng said. "Father, baby, take someone there." "No." John Peng said, "You can't go. If you make another mistake, what will you do? You don't need to worry about this matter, bring someone for your father." John Peng said. At this time, Zhonda hurriedly said, "Patriarch, you can't go. After half a year, you and the Supreme God King will go out with Lord Lingxia Tianzuan to fight the demons outside the realm." Hearing this, John Peng remembered the expedition. He gritted his teeth in anger, raised his head and yelled, "Patriarch, what do you think of this?" Zhonda respectfully said, "The nephew of the old slave is now a fifth-class semisage. Why don't he lead the gods in the house to go to the fierce abyss of gods to catch the murderer? The murderer is only a fourth-class human god. No matter how strong he is, he can't be stronger than the gods." After listening, John Peng said solemnly, "Okay, let your nephew Zhonji take someone with you." A moment later, Zhonji, dressed in a white robe and wise and martial, flew out of the Zhanfu with 200 gods. At their flying speed, they can reach the ferocious abyss of the gods within 2 years at most. Time flies. 2 years later, Zhanji brought people down from the sky and flew out of the fierce abyss of gods. "My subordinates have seen the eldest young master." Zhonji took the gods and bowed deeply to Zhon Zuyun. "Well, don't be too polite." Zhon Zuyun nodded and said, "Now, let's discuss how to catch the murderer." At the same time, in the depths of the fierce abyss of the gods, on the top of a xiongfeng, stands a mustard seed space-time temple. Outside the shrine, there were 29 8th-rank earth gods sitting cross-legged. They are naturally Zhon Zuyun people. Ha ha ha, ah ha ha ha. The old man has finally been promoted to the 9th level earth god. With a voice of vicissitudes and excitement, the hall door boomed. After the door opened, Fang Dong was filled with the breath of the 9th level earth god and stepped out. "Congratulations, congratulations." All the old men clasped their fists in congratulations. Thank you, thank you." Fang Dong smiled and said firmly, "Among the fierce abyss of gods, only Shualian Shandong has not been searched. We will leave now. When approaching the water curtain divine cave, we must be extra careful to prevent the golden-winged Kunpeng from being noticed. If we really notice it, then we will reveal the calendar. I don't think it will really embarrass us in the face of the owner of the family." Everyone nodded and said, Fang Dong's words are reasonable. Set off. Later, after Fang Dong put away the mustard seed spacetime temple, he and everyone turned into beams of light, and when they shot into the sky, the divine ring between Fang Dong's fingers trembled slightly. He flipped his right hand, and a sound transmission talisman came out of his hand. Then, John Zuyun's voice of inquiry came from the talisman. Fang Dong, how is it? Have you found the murderer of my second brother? Reporting to the young master, not yet. Fang Dong said to the sound transmission talisman, eldest young master, the old slaves have searched almost all the gods in the fierce abyss, but the Shuralian Shandong has not been searched. The old slave is planning to go and look for it. At this time, John Zuyun's exhortation came again. The water curtain cave is a place where the golden-winged Kunpeng often haunts. You must be more careful. If you encounter that beast, just report my father's name, and even that beast will not dare to do anything to you. Also, my father sent Zhangji to lead 200 gods. Now I'm with this young master. Once you meet the murderer, you should send a sound transmission to report, understand? Hearing this, Fang Dong respectfully said, old slave understands. Afterwards, after Fang Dong and John Zuyun cut off communication, they led 29 old men to continue flying towards Shuralian Shandong. 3 months later, darkness enveloped the world. In the vast night sky, the bright moon and stars rarely appeared. Whoosh! A huge golden light beam shot from the starry sky towards the galloping waterfall. When the huge golden light beam was less than 1,000,000 cents away from the waterfall, it suddenly disappeared. The next moment, a girl in a golden dress appeared in the night sky. The girl is tall and slender, with a slender waist and a full grip, bright eyes and white teeth, a slender nose, a small mouth, long eyelashes, and bright eyes, which combine to create a stunning girl who is beautiful and shocking. Especially the girl's waterfall-like long hair, and her long golden dress exudes a faint golden halo. She exudes beauty all over her body, beyond the stars. The faint golden light that permeated her whole body made Hao Yufangxing pale. The girl in the golden skirt looked into the distance with her eyes, and suddenly, her pupils turned into golden light. Her eyes seemed to be pierced, and the night sky in the millions of immortals was fixed in the water curtain cave behind the waterfall. When she saw a tall tower standing in the water curtain cave, she was vigilant, and her beautiful eyes showed a strong killing intent. Damn human, dare to break into the cave of this deity. Although the girl in the golden skirt was very angry, she did not immediately fly towards the Shuralian cave. She was worried that some human beings wanted to grab her and take down the heavenly divine beast pill in her body. Standing in the night sky, she released her consciousness, commented on the scene outside the waterfall, and planned to wait and see who was inside. Suddenly, the girl in the golden skirt frowned, and a pair of golden pupils showed anger. But it was she who discovered through her divine sense that 30 old people from the earth god realm were sneaking towards her cave. A moment later, Tan Yun, who was sitting cross-legged on the 48th floor of the Lingxiao Pagoda in the water curtain cave, slowly opened his eyes with excitement in his eyes. Just a moment ago, he finally condensed 6 Hongmeng human gods in his spirit pond, and entered the 6th class human god. Tan Yun felt the vast power surging in his body, and whispered to himself, with my current strength, it is enough to kill ordinary 9-level earth gods. When I cultivate the 19th order spacetime hegemony body to the stage of completion, then I can truly be invincible under the gods. Afterwards, Tan Yun released his divine sense and checked the realm of Shen Subing and others and found that Shen Subing, Yu Qin, Fang Jiqing, Tang Mingji, Shi Yao, Shuezian, Yingying, Wuxin Shangshan had already entered the 7th level of human gods. Except for Ouyang Duantian, Guan Xiankong, Guan Xuankui, Huangfu Guchong, Tian Lao, and Wei Quan, who are 5th class gods. All the other girls are 6th class gods like Tan Yun. Heaven Slaughter Devil Ape and Golden Dragon Lion. Since the beginning of the inheritance of the Devil Dragon Lord and the Golden Dragon Lord, the cultivation speed of the two divine beasts has skyrocketed, and now they are 7th-class divine beasts. Moa and Tianluo Longxingwang are 6th-class mythical beasts. The other 7 clan kings and the Liger holy beast Xiaobai are 5th-class divine beasts. There is no doubt that among all the beasts, Tan Yun is the strongest in leapfrog challenge. As for Wuxin Shangshan, Yingying, Shen Subing, Yu Qin, Tang Mingjia, Shuyao, Shueziyan, heaven-slaughtering demon ape, golden dragon and lion, their strengths should be comparable to each other. If it is said that among them, who is slightly stronger, it is naturally Wuxin god, Shen Subing, Yingying, golden dragon lion, and heaven-slaughter devil ape. The Wuxin supreme god has never died, it's just that his realm has regressed. As for Shen Subing and Yingying, they used to be the god king of time and space and the god lord of the celestial clan respectively. The two daughters practiced their own exercises in the past. Now that they have started to practice again, they are naturally familiar and easy to use. Although Nangong Yu Qin got the Honghuang sword art inherited from the god of the Great Desolation, Tang Mingjia got the Nirvana Bible inherited from the god of ancient spirits, Cai Hongxiao got the Jiutian Xian divine sword inherited from the 9 heavens profound god, and Shueziyan got the inheritance of Zixia Xianshan, Zixia 5 elements divine sword art, but their skills. After all, the law was not taught to them by the 5 gods personally, so their strength is now slightly inferior to Shen Subing, Yingying, Wuxin supreme god, golden dragon god lion, and heaven slaughter devil ape. In addition, in the million years before Tan Yun's death, the so-called 12 great generals under his command did not include the ancient spirit god, the 9 heavens profound god, and the Zixia profound god. Because these 3 gods fell when they accompanied Tan Yun to fight against the demons outside the realm. At that time, after the fall of the 3 major gods, there were 3 substitute gods, Pangu, the one-eyed monkey, and the devil Buddha. When Tan Yun checked the realm of everyone, he found that everyone had finished taking the best human divine pill and refining the human divine fruit. Tan Yun sent a voice transmission to everyone, "You wait for me for a few more days, and after I finish my practice of Hongmeng hegemony, we will leave the fierce abyss of gods." After Tan Yun had finished speaking, he was about to concentrate and prepare to practice space-time dominance when suddenly, a respectful voice sounded outside the waterfall. "Senior Kunpeng, this junior has something to look for you. Are you inside?" Senior Kunpeng. Tan Yun frowned, suddenly opened his eyes, and through the waterfall, he could vaguely see that 30 old men in the starry sky were looking in his direction with a respectful look. Looking at the 30 people, Tan Yunxing's eyes filled with a hint of cunning, and he said, "Su Bing, come out and deal with it." At this time, Tan Yun could see at a glance that 30 people were Zhong Zuyuan's subordinates. Especially the leader Fang Dong. Tan Yun remembered that he was the 8th level Earth ***** at first, but now he is the 9th level Earth god. Tan Yun said in confusion, "Senior Kunpeng. Could it be that this water curtain cave is Kunpeng's cave? No way." Thinking of this, Tan Yun broke into a cold sweat. If it is true, then his life is really big enough, and he has practiced here for such a long time without encountering Kunpeng. When Tan Yun had lingering fears, the 30 people in the starry sky above the waterfall were also frightened. Fearing that he disturbed the golden-winged Kunpeng, he would be retaliated against. When Tan Yun and Fang Dong were both pregnant with ghosts, the girl in the golden skirt, who was far away in the void of millions of immortals, frowned lightly, and thought to herself, "What are these 30 humans looking for?" However, in the next moment, the girl in the golden dress had murderous intent in her beautiful eyes, and someone actually pretended to be herself. She heard through her divine sense that a voice came out from the water curtain cave, with a cold and beautiful female voice. "The deity is naturally inside, what's wrong?" At this moment, over the waterfall, Fang Dong and others were so frightened that they almost fell from the sky. "No. Nothing," Fang Dong said before he finished speaking, his forehead was covered with beads of sweat, and he asked in a trembling voice, "Senior Kunpeng, this junior is chasing and killing a man. May I ask if you have seen him? Did someone pass by you?" In the water curtain cave, Shen Subing had appeared beside Tan Yun at this moment, and said coldly, "I have never seen this deity." "Okay, the deity is going to rest. Give you 3 breaths to leave this place, otherwise, leave your life behind." Hearing this, Fang Dong and others felt more and more fearful. Naturally, they dared not, and released their spiritual sense to check. You must know that spying on other people's actions with spiritual consciousness is often regarded as a provocation. The reason why Tan Yun let Shen Subing speak and ordered everyone to leave was not because he was afraid of these people, but because he was worried that these people were not far away, and there were other strong people hiding. Yes, the junior is disturbing," Fang Dong respectfully said. "The junior will leave now." Just as Fang Dong was about to leave, an unquestionable voice suddenly sounded in the minds of him and the other 29 old men. "You have been teased. The people in the water curtain cave are not the deity at all. My deity, now. I order you to find out the people who pretend to be deities. Otherwise, this deity will wipe out all of you damned humans." Hearing this, Fang Dong's 30 people were stunned for a moment. Immediately, Fang Dong's eyes showed a bright light, and he sent a voice transmission to the other 29 people. "Judging from the tone, this is the golden-winged Kunpeng, and the person inside must be a female voice pretending to be the murderer of the second young master." 29 people nodded in agreement, and suddenly released their consciousness, pouring into the huge water curtain cave through the waterfall. It was found that Tan Yun and Shen Subing were standing in the cave. "Damn it, the second young master, you killed us!" Fang Dong roared, and waved his hand with a wicked smile. "You all give it to me, the men are killed, and the women are mine." This video will end here.